Okay, I just did this video. I'm fixing to merge another video in with it. If the stuff I'm reading is too technical, please skip to 13 minutes in. 13 minutes in, I start talking about some stuff that's pretty much understandable because that's some deep stuff, and the meat of the stuff is at minute 13. Just letting y'all know. God bless. Good morning, David Atkins here, targeted individual. Oh man, they're killing my legs here with this vibration stuff today. Today I'm back with another video. I'm gonna be talking about the ground wave emergency network system, Gwen system, um, HARP, chemtrails, mind control, all that. And if I'm just gonna read the first part today, and I'll put the link in the description. But this is basically telling some stuff. This is from a transport pilot. He wrote this years ago, I guess about 2000. So this is from my old TIs because it's going to talk about implants in here too. I don't know if I'll get that today. See, I'm in a lot of stress. I'm getting hit hard, and I take my time out to do this to help people. So this is a lot to read and stuff, and I don't know if my attention span's good enough. So I'm gonna read all the way to part B. Then I might do another one on part B uh, in a couple of days because this is gonna be a lot. This is gonna drain me. And you gotta understand, I have no income. I have nothing. So, matter of fact, I've spent the last week playing Yahtzee to try to make $40 if I get to level 34. I'm only on level 28, and I've played for hours on inbox dollars, um, trying to get this $40. But that's the life of a TI. By the way, inbox dollars will give you gift cards and stuff if you play games on your phone stuff. It takes a lot. Like I've been playing hours just to try to get this $40, and I'm still not there. I got to get to level 34, and I'm on level 28. So that and surveys is really my only income. I'm disabled, and I have no income right now because I don't get disability. Uh, they did reapprove me for food stamps and stuff. So, anyway, that's enough about me. The Ground Wave Emergency Network, Gwen, is a communication system that the military is in the process of constructing as we speak. This is in 2000. It operates at very low frequency range of transmissions between 150 and 175 kilohertz. This range was selected because the signals travel by means of waves that have a tendency to hug the ground rather than by radiating into the atmosphere. When I get hit with these weapons, if I'm to lay down on the ground, I vibrate 10 times worse, get shocked 10 times harder. Just letting you know. Uh, Signal drops off sharply with distance. Gwen stations transmits in a 360 circle to a distance of 250 to 300 miles. The entire Gwen system consists of approximately 300 such stations spread across the United States, each with a tower 300 to 500 feet high. The stations are from 200 and 250 miles apart so that a signal can go from coast to coast from one station to another. When the system is completed, around 1993, the entire population of the United States will be exposed to the Gwen transmission. You see, this is 1990. This is in the 1990, I think, not 2000. My bad. Uh, Application of military frequency weapons. According to 1982 Air Force Review of Biotechnology, ELF has electromagnetic extra low frequency has a number of potential military uses, including dealing with terrorist groups, crowd control, controlling branches of security at military installations, anti-personnel techniques, and tactical warfare. The same report states electromagnetic systems would be used to produce mild to severe physiological disruption or perceptual distortion and disorientation. They are silent, and countermeasures to them may be difficult to develop. Between 1980 and 1984, this dude said, I was in England, got to see some illustrations of how this technology actually works. During this period, there were a lot of protests, sit-ins, demonstrations by Greenpeace and many other groups against the deployment of cruise missiles, especially at Greenham Common, which was south of where I was located. In 1983 and 84, there was a large presence of military police at the base when the cruise missiles arrived. Around mid-1984, this presence diminished considerably. Some of the protesters who were outside the base started claiming they were being radiated from the base because of physical problems they were unable to link to any source. This was reported in Electronics Today magazine in 1985. The symptoms range from skin burns to headaches to drowsing and menstrual bleeding at abnormal times, bouts of temporary paralysis, faulty speech coordination, in one case circulatory failure severe enough to require hospitalization. Such a complex series of symptoms fits well with severe EM field exposure. The Ministry of Defense denied any harmful electromagnetic signal was being used against the women, but did not deny that electromagnetic symbol may be in use, which is if below would not under any UK guidelines be officially acknowledged as harmful. In other words, they lied. Cases of deliberate experimentation on individuals for military purposes. In one study, over 100 Washington and Oregon state prisoners recalls discussion of phase 2 drug testing in chapter 5. Between 1963 had their testicles dosed with radiation to discover what doses would sterilize them. The project was funded by the Atomic Energy Commission at the cost of $1.5 million. From 1945 to 1947, 18 hospital patients, one of them only 5 years old, were injected with plutonium measures much the body would retain. And we all know this already. So I'm going to go. The Apollon scheme was reviewed in the British Medical Journal in 1987, where it said that redeeming feature was one of the test results were made available to other countries for their use. By now, you have acquired a bit of background knowledge, and it is knowledge that you will need to draw upon properly, understand, and evaluate the information in this section. The psychology behind mind control and psychic warfare. Body identification gives rise to a host of sociological phenomena, the least of which is mechanistic view that consciousness is a product of the brain, secondary that the mind is centered in the brain. Dr. Jose Delgado was one of the chief proponents of this view. Delgado was the author of the book Physical Control of the Mind Toward a Psycho-Civilized Society. For Delgado, the mind existed only in the brain. To postulate its existence as an independent entity was to him to sheer nonsense. He rejected the concept of free will and proposed that mind was a functional entity produced by electrical operations of the brain and as such be manipulated and controlled in order to control the behavior of the population. This was a view that was shared by proponents of the New World Order. Delgado, since the mid 1970s, was the director of the Spanish Neurophysiological Lab in Centro Romani Canal. As time went on, his interest shifted from direct stimulation of the brain to a broader area of the biological effects of the electromagnetic fields, an area that's been eagerly embraced by military and political systems as a means to achieve their goal of absolute control of the population. There are severe psychological schools of thought that have been adopted by government psychoscientists and the military to justify the mind control. All of them relate to the idea of psychic energy as originating in the human psyche, typified by the work of Carl Jung. The energy originating in the human psyche consists of thoughts, feelings, emotions, neurophysical stimuli, responses. It consists of a physical component that can be measured at an ether hyperspatial component that can only be measured by specialized equipment. These school of thought are as follows. I read a good book in high school by Carl Jung called Synchronicity. Suppression of vital data in physics. For thousands of years, many discoveries have been suppressed from the population of this planet in order to keep them from bondage. I'm going to slow down here. The burning of the libraries of Alexandria is one example of how information can be suppressed. Another example would be the common technique of suppression of scientific information by alteration of the information itself. Perhaps the most blatant and far-reaching alteration of data was the alteration of Maxwell's equations. James Clerk Maxwell was a mathematical genius who lived in the late 19th century. His original work, which is available to covert scientific departments in the government, had the potential to radically alter the entire course of our civilization. It is clear to most of you by now that the human population can easily be manipulated by electronic means using various methods developed through the military-industrial complex. What may not be clear to you is that many of the EM fields were initiated from outside what is normally seen as the electromagnetic spectrum. Just as the magnetic field in a wire is at right angles to the current flow, other fields and waveforms exist that are integral part of the electromagnetic spectrum, yet exist at higher number of right angle rotations, or orthogonal rotations away from electromagnetic field components we are normally accustomed to. If these hyperspatial commands which are not subject to the usual electromagnetic constraints of time and space are generated and manipulated, they can in turn generate EM effects that have the capability to influence human biology and consciousness. Let's take a brief look at how and by whom the equations of Maxwell were changed. In order to make subsequent open scientific discovery, that would have influenced civilization in a positive way impossible. In the late 1864, Maxwell published his epic material on electromagnetic waves. It dealt with not only electromagnetic waves, but also the relativistic ethereal psychoactive component of these waves. I'm trying to get away from this stuff. You can read it on your own um, furthermore, not only did they throw away the gravitational component anyway, because this deliberate act, 22 other areas existed in electromagnetic theory. Anyway, I'm getting away from all the science and stuff, but I am going to go slow so you can see that. Two U.S. Air Force ground Gwen relay sites in the vicinity differ from the standard Gwen configuration. They had links to AGC, whatever. The USAF's Gwen system was designed in the early 1980s to provide a survival emergency war order communications capability to Air Force PSYOP asset command posts and missile sites. Gwen relay sites are small, unmanned, automatic relay nodes located in various remote areas of the United States not known to otherwise be targeted. Not known to otherwise. Site configurations consist of 299 low-frequency tower antennas with buried copper mesh providing RF ground plane, fenced shelters housing emergency power generators, LF transmitter receiver, and designated end pumps. Antennas are housed with fenced equipment shelter compound. Routine site maintenance was performed by a U.S. Air Force contractor. Gwen sites were not hardened. Their trans and post-nuclear war utility relied on two factors. Gwen relay node seating topology was a cellular architecture that would automatically reroute the packetized message traffic in order to bypass disabled nodes. Low-frequency Gwen signals would be difficult to jam and are robust enough to survive an electromagnetic pulse environment. System of life of a ground wave emergency network position was projected to be 15 years, after which the system would be replaced by a Milstar satellite communication system. Milstar Strategic and Tactical Relay was originally designed to be a survival strategic communication system for use during all aspects of nuclear war. For political, budgetary, and operational reasons, the Milstar system actually deployed in the early 1990s and was much less survivable, but expanded to allow more tactical users. Two Gwen sites in the vicinity of Site R had an extra communications capability to allow for direct message traffic injection into the network from the Air Force Operations Center. The Gwen sites were located near Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and Antietam, Maryland, on the grounds of the state prison. It is unknown whether this was done and the antennas were broadband VHF UHF log period types. It's unknown whether this was done to deny hostile forces the ability of approximating the link operation frequency band by determining the link of the Yagian elements or another reason. This gets good, y'all, so just please rough with me through this deep stuff. The Gwen system was officially deactivated in the fall of 1998. Antietam Gwen site, small egg beater. Anyway, I don't think it was deactivated. That must be a special Gwen system. The Gwen system in the fall, Anthem Gwen, small egg transmit tower, and a telephone pole for connection injection. Oh, they're talking about the communications part. That special thing was deactivated. Developments in fiber optics, computers, electronic communications, nanotechnology, biochips, and neuroelectrical research are combined to bring mankind to the point where mankind can now be controlled by one centralized monolithic beast computer. The ultimate mind control slavery is now possible. We are in the first stages of its implementation. The chapter will be organized in the following subsections. Where this article is headed. Okay. This chapter is designed to cover the complexities high mind control and simple to understand language to accommodate those who are more technically illiterate or literate who want some clues to more technical sources given, but time and space limitations much has gone unsaid. My deep thanks to the many victims who placed their trust in me to get their stories out to the world. These are topic. All right, let's go. Here we go. Glossary of terms. Biometric telemetry. Transmitter receivers that are often located at the base of the skull, which record body functions and brainwave activity. Their data is sent to remote computers for monitoring. A biometric medical telemetry implant may also function as a primary control implant on bodysuits and implants. That's why I said old TIs. New TIs don't need these. However, they do use them, but if they get a chance to put them in you, but they don't need them. Okay, but the old TIs, you got them. So we're gonna call implants I. Early versions were used on astronauts. EMF weapons, electromagnetic frequency weapons, these are basically machines that can modulate and beam electromagnetic waves in such a fashion they can control mental functions and body functions within the victim. Portals to the central nervous system can be manipulated to create visual images, project voices in the mind, and create pain, moods, and emotions. Psychotronics, this word was activated from Soviet research. The American public have mistakenly thought that the word's equivalent to psychic activity. A more precise translation of the Russian term would have been applied psychoenergetics. American psychotronics research was initially done at Stanford Research Institute. This is the Theta program that Volume 2 described. Remote viewing. This means psychic viewing of something. Syntel. This is short for synthetic telepathy, which is the remote sending of voices, thoughts in the victim through electronic mind control. Military and intelligence agencies have successfully achieved this capability and have carried out countless meetings over their possible uses of Syntel. And since 1991, this author's been in contact with various victims of I. The natural first reaction of many listeners would be skepticism to the subject. The psychological profession had articles in professional journals ridiculing these poor victims. It's fair-minded will match the experience of what one could witness happen to these eye victims, as well as their evidence to the cutting edge of what science is researching and capable of doing. Then there's no doubts that eyes are being used at an ever-increasing mass scale. The world orders using amplifiers, generators, electronics, listening device, non-ionizing electromagnetic radiation, a snapping type sound energy that hits and burns the body, closed circuit videos to monitor eye victims, and nanotechnology, tracking devices that scanners can pick up. Mobile handheld scanners can pick up, just to name a few. This chapter will provide an in-depth overview of many of these electronic mind control gadgets. Unfortunately, the twilight zone of Big Brother is upon us. People such as limousine drivers that have been around the movers and shakers report they brag about these technological controls. The technologies described in this chapter, such as nanobots, holographic eyes, and I know you remember what I told you I stand for. I stands for implants, are in the R&D stage of use. What is meant by R&D stage means that the world order is using a large variety of experimental items. But the readers should be forewarned that this does not mean that these items are an indication of where the world order's actual secret research and development is at. This author's worked with enough mind control victims to establish several facts. This is for my old TIs, because chances are you have eyes, an eye in you. Society is getting only the crumbs of what is known by the world's hierarchy. World order is releasing technology at a control rate of much of it through mind control slaves who are programmed to discover at a particular discovery. They are in reality only disclosing what has been known in secret, and their discoveries are actually helping cover up where the world order secret research is at. However, it's not difficult to see the direction the world order is headed. They're working at making virtual reality hyperspace. They are fusing human minds to computers. Computers to robots are taking over human jobs, and humans are becoming more like computers. Sci-fi gurus, cyberpunks, and establishment scientists are selling and advertising technological direction as freedom. The crowds of sheep are accepting things like brain implants as survival equipment and freedom. The cool technological Pied Pipers of our time are teaching our children that gadgets that remove their minds from reality are giving them new freedoms. But this chapter is written because there's still a few people with neuroreceptors and a computing capacity left in their craniums to comprehend the dangers that these mind-controlling devices have for humanity. Witnesses have told me that the creation of Robocop-type cyborgs, the fusion of man, has already been experimented on in secret. Indeed, the government gave out research contracts for cyborg research back in the 1960s, and the use of electromagnetic waves, Tesla waves, eyes, other electronic devices by the world order for the mind control is on the increase. How much of a genuine threat do these things pose to humanity? I'll spell it out for the reader, but we must remain calm. A fear-based response only makes things worse. Yes, it is true. NSA can remotely track people if they know the specific EMF waves evoke potentials from EEGs in the 30 to 50 hertz, 5 milliwatt range of a person's bioelectric field. Each person's emissions are unique, just like their fingerprint, palm print, and their voice print. This means the NSA can remotely track anyone in public. And yes, it's true. The NSA's R&M system can remotely send EMF brain simulation signals, which create visual images, subliminal audios, what appears to be audible sounds, thoughts into people's minds. Yes, it's true that a bodysuit of eyes are used to control people's minds and bodies as well as track them. Now, this is back in the 90s when this was written. Old school technology. It's new now. But he's still saying, right there, he's still saying they track you by your brain waves. Oh, okay. So anyway, let's see. Oh, getting hit. Sorry. Okay. And yes, it's true. They can send brain stimulation signals. Uh, yes, it's true. They have voice prints of hundreds of thousands of Americans and identify and track their computers, all their electronic communications in this nation. Most phone calls go through about 30 computers before they reach their destination. The phone company's computers, according to someone who worked for AT&T or witnessed it, record all phone calls and computers. However, to weed out the worthless from the worthwhile, the Illuminati's fronts use a list of keywords such as names and phrases called the watch list, which the computer uses to identify conversations worldwide and listen to. Supercomputers. It is monitoring most communication on the entire planet, so they have to squeeze the watch list as tight as possible. According to Bramford James, the Puzzle Palace, and according to Raven, the programmers would simply reduce Malcolm X to the last two letters in his first name, followed by a space, then the letter X. Then anytime I intercept data communication, that particular combination of letters and spacing streamed past the computer's reading head, it would automatically be kicked out for further analysis. And I'm going to pause a minute and tell you something. I had somebody who told me the other day that they had somebody run somebody else's name and bring them the information or whatever. And man, they said the information had what all the cars they ever owned, pictures of them, charges that the person had, all the telephone numbers this person ever used, the percentage of use of these telephone numbers mean they know everything. They're keeping tracks of everybody of you. And I feel like it's not just people on the watch list. I feel like it's everybody. They're keeping track of every human being. This person told me they had pictures of every car that person had. They had charges, every telephone number that person had, associates of that person, and man, pictures, the title number to the cars and everything. And they had a list of phone numbers, and on the phone numbers, it had a percentage of uh, how many times the person used that phone number. So if that's accessible, that means somebody's keeping up with all this and putting all this data somewhere if that data is accessible. Part of the reason the computers are swamped with watch list submissions is that many nations' items require numerous entries. When searching for derogatory references to President Richard M. Nixon, for example, the technician would have to program a variety of possible keywords, such as Tricky Dicky. According to the former G Group chief, would be converted to the new technology, which is being implemented in stages, includes computer imaging of a person, which makes a whole body map of the person's body, which is stored in the computer. Something that's been developed for a narrow use by the NWO is downloading of the holographic image of a person's thoughts so they can be transmitted to another. The majority of the few people who know this is going on wouldn't waste time reporting it because the public wouldn't believe it anyway. However, some prominent scientists are predicting that it's just around the corner. The three top research institutes in this field, Stanford Research, Carnegie, and Mellon University, have all people saying that this capability is almost here. And folks, it is here. I feel like the only thing I can do is cry out to God and trust God. Now, some of you may not believe in God, but I do, because there's no turning back now with this technology. And I hate to tell all these office workers, but AI is fixing to replace them. I mean, this is getting crazy, not only for targeted individuals, but for other people too, who are too dumb to wake up and see what's happening to us targeted individuals and do something about it. or try to help us or try to reach out to Congress and say, look, man, this person's really experiencing this. I'm not experiencing it, but this person's really experiencing it. I feel like that's what it's going to take is people that are not targeted to realize their family members are being targeted and stand up and start going to Congress with this stuff because they're not going to listen to the targets. And they might if we come together. Okay. Austria, I'm sorry, I'm getting on my rants. It's quoted in the Indianapolis Star in the article Immortality. In an astonishing short amount of time, scientists will be able to transfer the contents of a person's mind into a powerful computer and in the process make him, or at least his living essence, virtually immortal. I don't believe that. I believe God's got control, but who knows? Artificial intelligence said, I'm afraid, unfortunately, I'm the last generation to die. Some of my students may manage to survive a little longer. But as fantastic as all these powerful capabilities are, there are glitches in their electronic control of humans. As an outsider looking in for a number of years, this author has been able to take note of some success and failures of the New World Order, electronic mind control. First, NSA picks up so much intelligence information they're drowning in their own information. Only so many people can make decisions and they can only digest so much information. They might try to manipulate people and events, but Christians who are free of mind control can step through those manipulations by having the mind of Christ. Next, if a person understands who they are, believes in following Christ, outside visions and other strange voices or thoughts do not alter the course that person will take. Most of the people in this author has met who have been subjected to remote control have rejected the instructions and harassment of electronic handlers. Not only is it clear the voices are being transmitted from an external source to the victim, others can also detect that something is amiss. One man spent an afternoon talking to his author about the world, and I'm just reading this, not trying to pass Christ on to nobody. I am a follower of Christ. Don't call myself a Christian. I'm a follower of Christ. Okay. Next, if a person understands who they are and believes in following Christ, outside visions and okay. But I do believe in God. Having rejected the instructions and harassment of their handlers, not only is it clear the voice is being transmitted from an external source to the victim, others can detect something's amiss. The element of secret's missing it. Okay. The most powerful mind control is still trauma-based mind control built on a foundation of multiple personalities, dissociated personalities, dissociated parts of the minds. I'm sorry I'm talking fast. I'm getting hit and I'm trying to get this out before I have to shut it down because my mind is trying to get foggy and stuff and I'm trying to read this. So I'm sorry if I'm going too fast. I'm going to try to slow it down again. It appears electronic mind control is being overlaid off the top of the mind control based on dissociation. When this is done, the electronic mind control is frightening because the victim's consciousness is not able to think past the electronic mind control, which catches their undivided attention. They are too distracted to deal with the deeper issues of trauma-based mind control. Imagine being a program multiple and your handler doesn't even have to be near you to relay complicated codes and instructions. He can use your eye. And you can read with me and see what I means if you haven't caught it yet. But again, how serious is electronic mind control? Let me relate to you about a guided tour that a civilian friend of mine took through a NWO Major Beast Computer Center in Alaska back in the 1970s. The engineer who was in charge of building and getting the center operational gave him a tour of the site's capabilities. At that point, the NWO had built a massive computer center in Alaska, one in Africa, to be believed located at the U.S. Embassy in Johannesburg, and one in Pine Gap, Australia. These three sites are very specific because they form a triangle on the globe and couldn't be located anywhere else due to the naturally occurring lines of force of the planet. The Beast Computer Center consists of aisles and aisles of big state-of-the-art computers. They have several dozen people to run them. Even in the 70s, the operator could speak into the computer and it would answer. For instance, if you asked the computer about anyone on the planet, it could usually pull up all kinds of information about that person. If you asked the computer how you could get that person to kill someone or how can I isolate this person, the computer would spill out a plan almost instantly, telling you that all the people around the subject who could be manipulated and what fashion these people need to be manipulated to cause the end result. This is the end of the years of the black psychiatry, which means applying psychiatric techniques to manipulate people and nations. The computers electronically connect with some of the people who are electronically controlled so that controllers can actually control the world from a computer. The computers also store vast amounts of personal information about people's thought process thinking. It's people It's possible that electronic surveillance is being done to read the thoughts of people, and computers are actually able to store this information in some usable fashion. Because this is so secret, they can't give any hints of their vast ability to monitor thoughts as well as organize stored thoughts. This sounds like science fiction, but people who invent and work the state of art of technology, this is said to be old technology. They are limited to how they use this technology because they want it to remain secret. Meanwhile, on the surface is the public system automated fingerprint identification with the AFIS system and has automated birth certificates electronically too. This all ties in with a intense desire of the world system to use the potential of their computers, memories, large neural computers that have artificial intelligence using neural processing, which is a type of learning similar to learning done by the human brain, are being used. And I'm gonna stop right there and let you know something. Any of the y'all people playing video games, I'm one of them. If I could afford the video game and play it, I used to play video games. Well, if you're playing games like Skyrim or Grand Theft Auto and stuff like that, they're actually tracking people playing these games to see what kind of decisions they're making in the game. Are they playing the good game? Are they playing the good guy or the bad guy? Are they going around just killing everybody, or are they trying to be a savior? They're 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 basing your personality off how you play games. You can think I'm crazy or not. I'm gonna try to pull that up one day and show you the personality assessment test. I think it's on Wikipedia under PsyOps. Go to PsyOps. I don't think it's PsyOps. Well, I can't. I'm gonna pull it up and do a video on it one day. Yeah. So the decisions you make in video games, they're putting your personality assessment based off them decisions. So if you go around just killing everybody, um, or Skyrim. You can play all kinds of different characters. You can go around and just kill people if you want, or you can play the good guy who's trying to save the world. They base your personality based on the decisions you make in them games. I'm telling you, this is getting crazy, man. Okay, they are limited to how they use the technology they want to. Recently, world champion chess player was beat by a computer. This author's friend who toured the Alaskan Computer Center was shown how a war could be created between any two nations. The operator merely asked the computer what it knew about a certain country, then asked how a war could be created with a neighboring country. This is the result of council studies such as the military U.S. reference basic psychological operations study, which outlines country by country, specifying where each country is vulnerable for PSYOPs operations. This kind of thing has a long history. For instance, in World War II, the Office of War Information and OSS cooperated in physical warfare projects. What this author's friend saw was a network of Cray-type computers, perhaps similar to EMAS systems of Cray computers. Such a system can store 5 trillion pages of text and work with that database at lightning speed. The reason the author's friend was allowed to see this technology was he happened to be at the right place at the right time, and the engineer operator of the Beast computer said the system was obsolete, which is true. Today's 9 Beast computer are much better at speech than the computers that these 3 control sites were in 73. The Beast computers can, according to other eyewitnesses, hear human voices and determine what language is being spoken, can listen and answer in that language. These computers link directly to thousands of mind control slaves via various methods. Almost instant control behaviors of numerous people. This, along with good old-fashioned phone calls, allow the elite to manipulate events very fast. Anchorage is the site of a National Security Agency listening post. The Beast computer was located northeast of Anchorage, so is the HARP project. Okay, somewhere on the flip side, the human brain, which they control, can, if has a MXI, an I interface with the Beast computer, which acts as a vast repository of human knowledge, as well as answering questions, essentially all previous answer questions instantaneously. If the human brain has some type of virtual reality holdock attachment, the computer can even walk the slave through a realistic setting indistinguishable from the real world. RoboCop or Robo Soldier has an incredible advantage. The world order has experimented in MEMEX, remote viewing, along with several divergent paths. One method has been psychic, demonic method, where the natural mental facilities of the human mind are trained. The other route's been high tech. According to eyewitnesses, both methods have yielded positive results, and it sounds like are still refining their capabilities. The world telematics. Okay, I'm just trying to skip around here now. around 1973, TRW began designing a satellite that allows CIA to communicate with its assets in denied areas. This was codenamed Pyramidar, used frequency hopping. The signals can be hidden among random urban radio transmissions. Some people who are related to the CIA have been receiving Centel implants that are used communicating with them using signals that frequency hop. So the proof's in the pudding. They use the Pyramidar to contact eye victims. The world order does not use every technological gadget they have in every situation. Uses secret weaponry is so the weapon remains secret. So is restricted so that the weapon remains secret. This is one reason why victims of mind control display such wide variety of symptoms and control mechanisms. But what is scary that any bozo cannot purchase on the black public market of a frightening array of electronic mind control devices. Information Unlimited puts out a catalog that any bozo on the street can order from, which advertises 200,000-volt stun guns, laser ray gun, compressed air guns, knock people down with probes attached instantly to the target, jam their nervous system with T-waves, laser listener devices. They also sell other novel devices. And that was, I think that website got took down, but it was up. Information Unlimited. Okay, for instance, the Journal of Nervous and Mental Disease, delusional electronic denial, dental implants, case reports litter. The shrinks concluded the men were obviously mental ill and needed treatment with drugs because they are claiming they have electronic dental eyes. The psychiatrist wrote neither had any insight into implausibility of the delusion. So none of them were delusions. The doctors gave antipsychotic drugs, physically intervened to prevent an inappropriate dental extraction, according to the article. It never occurs to the psychiatrist that the reason the antipsychotic drugs didn't work is possibly because the men's complaints were legitimate. There are other cases too where people complaining of eyes have been labeled delusional. Is guilty of refusing to serious review incidents and harassment. Mind control may be infected. Okay. And remember, this is for the old TIs. This was written long ago. But he even says in here they can track you by your brain. So anyway, I'm not going to go in this third section. If you'd like a link to this to read the rest, and I'm going to read the rest in a couple of days to you. Here, I'll scroll and let y'all see what it says. I mean, this gets into some good stuff. Gwen tires can be used for several purposes, including elf waves used for direct mind control, which will be covered towards the back of this chapter because they are part of the eye system included before the chapter discusses eyes. Unfortunately for humans, anyway, I'm going to go to that something else. I'm going to go into that some other day. But if you'd like a link to this to look it up yourself, I'd be glad to get it for you. Like I said, I'm getting toasted right now, so I'm fixing to get off here. Y'all have a good rest of the weekend, and please pray for me. I'm fixing to go get me a cold towel and put it over my head. God bless all targeted individuals.